my girlfriend said. I can flirt with whoever I want. You're not my husband. I said, you're right. I stopped treating her like my girlfriend. When she came home the next day expecting me to chase her, I handed her a box of her things and said, you wanted freedom. Now you have it. At 29, Mel had been with Maya, 28, female, for 3 years. We met at a local coffee shop in Austin, Texas. She spilled her iced latte on my laptop bag, and instead of getting mad, I helped her clean it up. We laughed about it. I got her number, and that was that. For the first 2 years, things were great. We moved into a nice 2-bedroom apartment near Zilker Park. I was working as a software developer, and she was an event planner. We had a good routine, shared expenses fairly, and generally enjoyed each other's company. But over the last 6 months, things started changing. Maya got a promotion at work, which meant she was attending more networking events and parties. I was happy for her, truly. But she started coming home later and later, often smelling like expensive tequila and cheap cologne. When I asked about her nights, her answers were vague. Just mingling, babe, she'd say, brushing me off. The breaking point happened last Friday. We were supposed to have a quiet date night. I had ordered takeout from our favorite Thai place, Sway, and rented a movie she wanted to see. I texted her at 6 p.m., asking when she'd be home. No response. At 8 p.m., I called. Sent straight to voicemail. By 10 p.m., I was sitting alone in the dark living room, eating cold pad thai. She stumbled in at 11:30 p.m., giggling loudly while looking at her phone. She didn't even look guilty. Where were you? I asked, keeping my voice even. She sighed, an exaggerated, theatrical sigh. Relax. I was out with the team. We went to this new rooftop bar downtown. You couldn't text? I was busy networking, Liam, she snapped, finally looking at me. Her eyes were slightly glazed. I can't always be glued to my phone. I noticed a smudge of lipstick near the collar of her white blouse. Not her shade. And that lingering smell of cologne again. Networking, I said, standing up. Or flirting. She rolled her eyes. Oh, please. Don't start this again. So what if a guy buys me a drink? It's harmless. It's disrespectful, Maya. We've talked about this. You're acting single when you're in a relationship. Then, she said the words that ended us. She crossed her arms, glared at me, and said, look, I can flirt with whoever I want. You're not my husband. The room went dead silent. The words hung in the air, thick and heavy. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I didn't know this person anymore. The woman I loved wouldn't say that. I took a deep breath. All the anger I felt just evaporated. It was replaced by a cold, hard clarity. You're right, I said quietly. She blinked, surprised. What? You're right. I'm not your husband. I turned around and walked to the kitchen, picking up my car keys. I'm going for a drive. I left her standing there, looking confused. I drove around Austin for 2 hours, listening to the radio and letting the reality sink in. She didn't want a partner. She wanted an accessory she could cast aside when she felt like playing the field. Fine. When I got back, she was asleep. I didn't get into bed with her. I went to the guest room, locked the door, and slept on the floor. The next morning, I woke up early. I didn't make her coffee like I usually did. I didn't leave a note. I just packed a gym bag and went to work. All day, she sent me texts. 9 a.m., where are you? Why didn't you make coffee? 11:30 a.m., are you still mad about last night? Come on, Liam, don't be dramatic. 2 p.m., I'm sorry if I upset you, okay? Let's talk tonight. I didn't reply to a single one. I was done being her backup plan. When I got home at 6 p.m., she was waiting on the couch, looking annoyed but expectant. She probably thought I'd come in, yell a bit, and then we'd make up. She expected me to chase her, to beg for her attention. Instead, I walked past her, went straight to our bedroom, and pulled out 2 large cardboard boxes I had grabbed from the office. What are you doing? She asked, following me into the room. Packing, I said simply. I started grabbing her things. Her clothes, her shoes, her expensive makeup. I wasn't gentle, but I wasn't throwing things either. I was methodical. Liam, stop it, she yelled, stepping towards me. What is wrong with you? I stopped and looked at her. You said it yourself, Maya. I'm not your husband. Therefore, you are not my girlfriend. I'm not going to tolerate disrespect from a roommate. I handed her the first box, which was now overflowing with her belongings. You wanted freedom, I said, my voice steady. Now you have it. Get out. She stared at me, her mouth open. For the first time since this whole mess started, she looked genuinely panicked. "You're kicking me out?" she sputtered. "Over one argument." "It wasn't an argument. It was a statement of fact," I replied, grabbing the second box and continuing to pack. "You don't respect me, and you clearly don't want to be in a committed relationship. So, I'm doing us both a favor." She tried to argue, tried to cry, tried to say she didn't mean it, but I just kept packing. When I was done, I placed the boxes by the front door. "The lease is in my name," I told her. "You have until the end of the week to get the rest of your furniture. After that, I'm changing the locks." She left in tears, dragging her boxes to her car. I watched her drive away, feeling a strange mix of sadness and immense relief. The next day was going to be tough, but for the first time in months, I felt like I could finally breathe. Update 1, 3 weeks later. So, it's been about 3 weeks since I kicked Maya out. Things have been interesting. She moved in with a friend of hers, Sarah, who lives on the other side of town. The first week was relatively quiet. I think she was expecting me to call and apologize, to beg her to come back. When I didn't, the texts started. At first, they were apologetic. "I miss you. I'm so sorry about what I said. I was drunk and stupid." Then, when I didn't reply, they turned angry. "You're a coward for doing this over text. You're throwing away 3 years." I ignored the irony of her accusing me of throwing things away after she literally told me I wasn't her husband. I stayed silent. I had already said everything I needed to say. Then, things escalated. Last week, I came home from work to find Maya sitting on the steps outside my apartment building. She looked disheveled, like she hadn't slept well. "We need to talk, Liam," she said, standing up as I approached. "We have nothing to talk about, Maya," I said, trying to walk past her. She stepped in front of me. "Please, just 5 minutes." I sighed and unlocked the main door. 5 minutes. Out here. She launched into a long speech about how she realized she took me for granted, how much she missed our life together, how the freedom she thought she wanted was actually miserable. She even cried a little. I just listened. I didn't feel angry anymore. I just felt tired. "Maya, it's over," I said when she finally stopped talking. "You showed me who you really are that night, and I listened. You can't just unsay something like that." "I was just trying to make you jealous," she blurted out. I stared at her. "What?" "I was feeling insecure," she admitted, looking down. "You're always so stable, so calm. I wanted to see if you actually cared if I got attention from other guys. I wanted a reaction." That hit me hard. Not because I felt bad for her, but because it confirmed everything I suspected. She was playing games. "Well, you got a reaction," I said coldly. "And now you have the consequences. Please don't come here again." I went inside and locked the door. A few days later, a mutual friend, David, called me. "Hey man, I just thought you should know," David said hesitantly. "Maya's been telling people a different story." "Of course she is," I sighed. "What's the spin?" "She's telling everyone that you were controlling and jealous, that you kicked her out because she talked to a male coworker at a work event." I laughed out loud. It was so absurd. "Thanks for the heads up, Dave. If anyone asks, you can tell them the truth. She told me I wasn't her husband and she could do whatever she wanted." I just agreed with her. Dave chuckled. "Yeah, I figured it was something like that. Nobody's really buying her victim act anyway." It felt good to know that the truth was out there, at least with the people who mattered. I'm focusing on myself now. I've started going to the gym more. I'm cooking again, not just eating cold pad thai, and I'm even thinking about adopting a dog. Life is quieter without her drama, and honestly, I prefer it that way. Update 2. 2 months later. It's been 2 months since the breakup, and the dust has finally settled. Or so I thought. Maya finally came and got the rest of her stuff last weekend. She brought her dad to help her move a dresser and a bookshelf. I made sure I was home, but I stayed out of their way, working on my laptop in the kitchen. Her dad, Mr. Henderson, is a decent guy. He always seemed a bit weary of Maya's dramatics. While she was struggling with a box in the hallway, he came into the kitchen. "Liam," he said, offering a tight smile. "Hi, Mr. Henderson." He hesitated for a second. "Listen, I just wanted to apologize." "For Maya." I was surprised. "You don't need to apologize for her." "I know," he sighed, running a hand through his graying hair. "But she told her mother and me what happened. The real story, not the nonsense she was telling her friends." I raised an eyebrow. "Really?" "Yeah. She finally admitted that she crossed a line and that you ended it." "I'm disappointed in her, frankly. You were a good guy to her. That meant more to me than I expected. It was validation that I wasn't the crazy one in all this. Thank you, Mr. Henderson. I appreciate that. He nodded and went back to helping her load the truck. Maya barely looked at me as they left. She just muttered a quiet bye and walked out. I felt a final sense of closure as the door clicked shut behind them. But the real kicker happened yesterday. I was at the grocery store, browsing the produce section, when I heard a familiar voice. Liam. I turned around and saw Sarah, the friend Maya had moved in with. She looked stressed. Hey, Sarah. How are you? She rolled her eyes. Exhausted. Listen, I know this is awkward, but is there any chance you'd take Maya back? I almost dropped the avocado I was holding. Excuse me. Sarah groaned. She is driving me insane. She's messy. She doesn't pay her share of the bills on time, and she brings guys home at all hours. She's treating my apartment like a frat house. I couldn't help but smirk. Wow, that sounds terrible. It is, Sarah said emphatically. She keeps crying about how much she misses her old life with you. I think she finally realized how good she had it, and how much she ruined it. I looked at Sarah, feeling a mix of amusement and pity. Not for Maya, but for Sarah, who was now dealing with the tornado I had escaped. Sarah, I'm really sorry you're dealing with that. But no, there is zero chance I will ever take her back. That bridge isn't just burned, it's ashes. Sarah sighed, clearly disappointed but not surprised. Yeah, I figured. Well, I had to ask. For my own sanity. Good luck, I told her sincerely. Walking back to my car, I felt lighter than I had in years. Maya got exactly what she asked for. She got her freedom to flirt with whoever she wanted, whenever she wanted. And she was realizing that freedom wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Meanwhile, I was going home to my quiet, clean apartment to cook a nice dinner for myself. I had peace, and that was worth more than anything. Final update, 6 months later. It's been half a year, and I figured I'd give one last update to close this chapter completely. A lot has happened. First off, I kept my promise to myself and adopted a dog. He's a scruffy terrier mix named Buster, and he's the best roommate I've ever had. He never complains about the rent, and he's always thrilled to see me. Professionally, things are great. I poured the extra energy I used to spend dealing with Maya's drama into my work, and it paid off. I got a promotion to senior developer and a solid raise. I'm actually looking at buying a house soon, something I never felt secure enough to do while I was with Maya. As for Maya, well, karma is funny. I hadn't heard a peep from her or her friends in months, which was perfectly fine by me. But Austin is a small town sometimes. About 2 weeks ago, I was at a popular outdoor patio bar with David, the friend who gave me the heads up about her lies, and a few other guys. We were watching a game and having a few beers. I went to the bar to grab another round, and there she was. Maya was sitting a few stools down, looking completely different. The polished, put-together event planner look was gone. She looked tired. Her hair was messy, and she was wearing clothes that looked a little worn out. She was talking to a guy, or trying to. He looked clearly disinterested, checking his watch and looking around the room. She spotted me as I was waiting for my drinks. Our eyes met, and I saw a flash of panic, followed quickly by deep embarrassment. She quickly looked away, her face flushing red. I got my beers and walked back to my table, not saying a word. David saw her too. Man, she looks rough, he commented quietly. Yeah, I agreed, taking a sip of my beer. Later that week, David filled me in on the gossip he'd heard. Apparently, Sarah had finally kicked Maya out after she threw a party while Sarah was out of town and broke a fairly expensive TV. Maya had to move into a tiny, rundown studio apartment in a bad part of town because she couldn't afford anything else on her own. Worse, her job performance had tanked. The networking she prioritized over our relationship apparently turned into a reputation for partying too hard at corporate events. She was let go from the event planning agency a month ago. She's been trying to reach out to old friends, David said, shaking his head. But nobody really wants to deal with her anymore. She burned a lot of bridges. Hearing all that, I didn't feel a triumphant thrill. I just felt a quiet, simple vindication. She threw away a stable, loving relationship because she wanted the thrill of the chase, the validation of strangers. She wanted to play games and act single. Well, she won her stupid games. And her prize was exactly what she asked for. She is single. She is alone. And she has the freedom to flirt with whoever she wants, assuming they'll give her the time of day. As for me, I went home that night, took Buster for a long walk around town lake, and watched a movie in my peaceful, quiet apartment. I don't hate Maya anymore. I just don't care. She was a lesson I had to learn, a storm I had to weather to appreciate the calm. I'm doing great. The trash didn't just take itself out. It completely recycled itself into a better life for me. Thanks for reading, everyone. Stay strong, and never tolerate disrespect.